Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another project for hobby hoppers. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph and I am a magic maker for this amazing small Aussie business. Today I have this adorable Slimline card to share with you, and as I was making it I noticed how many products were in it that I had grabbed from hobby hoppers. So I sent a message to Trish and told her that I had this adorable card that I was really keen to share with you, and she was more than happy for me to show off another magic maker project to get you inspired and crafting. Now that we've had a peek at the card, let's have a look at everything I needed for it. As you can see, there were lots of mice in this one, so most of the sets that I'm showing you, I'm pinching the cute little mouse from there. This one in Dandy Day, I've got a few of them. I can just never get past this set without using the mouse with the little baby. It is just so cute. For this set, I'm grabbing the mouse and the telescope. In Crazy Antics, I'm mostly just using this one to use a little ant. I didn't end up using the Let's Barbecue set. I ended up going with a campfire instead. I'm finally using my little tent die set. I cannot believe it's taken me this long to use it. So here's the campfire, and I used the bag of marshmallows from Small the Merrier. Totally Awesome is a bit of an older set, and from this one I'm using the lily pad and the log. And then I've got some dies that I wanted to get out and just see if I would use them. My grassy dies, my tree dies, some clouds. At this point I really didn't know where I was going with the background, but I thought it would just be a good idea to have everything out to see what I needed. As you can see, I'm also using my small Slimline stitch die. Here I am just lining up some dies for my background. I'm actually going to be cutting my background into segments for this one. I haven't really made a card like this before, so it was a little bit of a learning experience. It actually wasn't as complicated as I first thought. I was worried I was biting off way more than I could chew with this, but it all came together really nicely, and I think I'll probably use this technique again in the future. I have sliced up my white cardstock, and now I'm going to focus on each of those little sections. So for the first one, I'm inking it up with some Twisted Citron for my grass, and down the bottom I'm adding a little bit of tea dye, kind of to make it look like dirt. This one's going to be on the border of some water down the bottom, so maybe it's sand instead. Either way, this pale brown really worked for this. After I had blended these nicely together, I then used a little bit of clean water on a paintbrush and flicked it over the top for a little bit of texture. For my next piece, down the very bottom, I'm using some Salty Ocean and some peacock feathers for a little bit of water. I love the way these two colours blend together. Once again with this one, I'm going to be flicking some water over the top. And something I've noticed that's been really handy is flicking my paintbrush over my little water bowl a couple of times before flicking it over my cardstock. It makes the water droplets really small, as all the big ones have already been dripped off into my bowl. This way I get like a really fine bubbly effect, and I really like it on the water. Sometimes I like it bigger for bubbles, but today I just wanted a bit of subtle texture on this. For this next piece, it's going to be in the middle but towards the top. And again, I'm using some greens because this is going to be another grassy area. I kind of just wanted it to be a little bit different in the colours so that it didn't look exactly the same. So I've gone in with some mowed lawn down the bottom, some Twisted Citron for the main part in the middle, and at the top this time I'm using tea dye, and that's kind of going to look like a bit of a dirt path. At this point I'm thinking my little mouse with the scooter would look really cute on this. And this is how we're looking so far. Now on to the sky. So I'm using some tumbled glass for this, and then I'm going to move up to some peacock feathers and then some Salty Ocean. I've gone from light down the bottom to dark at the top, as I kind of wanted this to look like the sun was setting. Not very much sunset colours, but I'm going to be adding some stars to the top of this one. So it being darker at the top suited this piece much better. At first I was going to add some purple to this, but I'm really glad that I didn't and that I stuck to the blues. I feel like maybe adding purple to this would have kind of thrown out my colour scheme a little bit. So I'm glad I trusted my instincts on this one, because I feel like it looks really nice in the end. These two pieces also got the same treatment with some water. And there we have it, there's all four pieces lined up together. Now to get onto my stamping. I have sped this up really quick because there was a few sheets to do. And even after all of this, I still didn't stamp out everything I needed. A little bit later, I did stamp out the little ant that I had forgotten, and a couple of branches that I'm going to be using on the top of this card. And they were from the Two Can Do It stamp set. There are so many fun little pieces to this card, and I love colouring in, so I really didn't mind having such a big amount to do. As always, I'm using my Copic markers and my alcohol markers, and using my super simple technique of just using 2 different shades of each colour per area and blending them together. I feel like with such a full-on card like this, I probably really didn't need to make these too detailed. There's already a lot going on. Although I am having a little bit of fun off camera in my spare time, working on my colouring skills and trying to get a little bit better. So while I've got you here, whether you've been watching my other videos or you're just here because this is a Hobby Hoppers project, I would love to know what you are hoping for in the next Lawn Fawn release. It's coming up. I think from what I've seen, it's around the middle of September that it's going to be released, and I am pretty much counting down the days already. I love new releases. I find them so exciting. I try not to get paralyzed by the thought of new things coming out when I still have so many stamps that I need to make good use of. So I'm trying to keep myself busy with projects like this. But it's the Halloween and the Christmas release, so I would love to know in the comments, what do you think Lawn Fawn will bring out this time? I love this time of year. It is the most expensive for me, with the Lawn Fawn Stamptember release, the new release, my husband's birthday, my son's birthday, Halloween, Christmas, all coming up. This time of year really hits the bank account a bit hard. I've mentioned it in my other videos that I'm really hoping they bring out something along the lines of their happy birthday die, their giant happy birthday dies. Something like that for Christmas would be awesome. I love those big dies because they fill in such a nice amount of a background where you can whip up a bunch of cards nice and quick and not have to do too many details because a big amount of space has been taken up by those cute dies. So that's my guess. I would love to know what other things you think they might bring out, especially for Halloween. Their little foxes in costumes last year were so cute. So I wonder if we'll see more costumes this year, whether they'll be characters or whether there's going to be people. The suspense always really gets to me. Will there be more furniture? That is the question I ask almost every release. I love that we have the desk chair and the little desk and some lamps and other little scene building stamps. I would love to see more this release. I'm also hoping there'll be some new stencils. I have been loving the stencils this year. The plaid stencils were so much fun, and the tropical leaf stencils were so beautiful, and they have been amazing to play with. I just can't wait to see what comes out next. So don't forget to leave me a comment below with what your guesses are, and then maybe we can come back and see if we were right. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music as I finish off this colouring in. That was such a huge amount of colouring in, and as much fun as it was, I'm glad it's done. So here I am working on the very top piece of my card, the sky. And I'm using my Lawn Fawn Stars stencil, and I'm using some Stickles paste over this. I think this one is called Moon Dust. It's fairly clear and very chunky glitter. I'm still on the hunt for some different pastes. I just haven't settled on exactly what I want to use yet. So I focused mostly on the very top of this, as the stars are just coming out on the top. The sun is still setting below. My sentiment today is very small and simple. Life with you is happy. And if you're wondering where that's from, it's from the Coaster Critters stamp set. I don't know what kind of card this could be for. It could be maybe an anniversary card, maybe between two people who are grown with grown children and a big family with all these little mice. But I just thought with all these little characters having such a wonderful time in this card, the sentiment really fit. Instead of gluing these pieces onto a card base, I thought the easiest thing to do would simply be to cut another big Slimline rectangle and stick them all down onto that first. They're going to be the exact same size, so it's pretty much just like a puzzle here. I'm inking up that space where the grass meets, as my grass down the bottom is going to be more dimensional. Quite a bit dimensional actually. I've got 2 layers of kids adhesive craft foam that I'm using for that one. So it's going to stand up quite a bit off the cardstock. So to ensure that the transition there is a little bit more seamless, I'm just making sure that there's green underneath so that we don't see that white cardstock. Here I am assembling the tent, and I know it's going to look a bit funny, but I am not using the full tent. I'm going to be trimming it in half, or trimming off the excess that's hanging off the card. So I mostly just use little pieces of scrap paper here to get the pieces that I needed. So it's the first time I've used the tent, and I still haven't used it whole yet. Once I'm happy with the position of that, I'm going to glue it down. I'm then going to trim the excess off that's hanging off the side. So here is that craft foam that I mentioned before, and it is really thick. To ensure I stick this properly on my bottom 2 pieces without them moving, I'm simply going to use a little piece of washi tape to hold them together. Once I was happy with where that was going, I removed the adhesive backing and stuck it on. I then removed the washi tape so that it wouldn't get too stuck or rip or anything horrible that I really can't have happen now that this scene is coming together. It's now time to start putting the scene together, and I'm so excited at this point. There are so many cute little mice and so many little scene building pieces for this one. I just love how they all so quickly come together. So what I'm doing here is using my X-Acto knife, and I am slicing just a little hole in the top of this marshmallow bag. And that is so this little cutie can be hanging upside down in it. I don't know about you, but out of all the mice in this card, that would probably be me. I'm working on the top half of the card. This is mostly because everything up the top of this one is flat. I don't have any dimensional pieces up there like I do down the bottom. I'm also just adhering some other little pieces along the way as I see them in my pile. At first I put the telescope here so that I could measure out where I wanted my branch and then stick the telescope on top, but I actually really like the look of it with its legs behind the tree branch, so that made it nice and easy to stick down. All I had to do was make sure I left enough room for the little mouse to sit. I then added some other little branches on the other side. This is where my little ant is going to sit. And like I mentioned before, I found these branches in my Toucan Do It set. I'm making sure I trim off the edges as I stick them down. And there's just something about that look. It looks so neat, even though you don't see the end of the stamp. There's something about it. So I'm sticking my little ant up here, and I coloured an extra marshmallow in for him so that he can hold it while he's up there. I'm hoping the mice gave it to him, but I have a feeling he might have pinched it while they weren't looking. Time to stick this cute little guy in with his bag of marshmallows. And speaking of marshmallows, I'm going to trim this one down on the stick so that it looks a little bit more natural when this mouse holds it. I love his little face. He's one of the mice that is blowing bubbles, and it kind of looks like he's blowing on his marshmallow as it cooks over the fire. I stick my little campfire down on my bottom piece, which is raised. And now all of the pieces that I'm sticking on down here, they're part of the bigger dimensional piece. For this little guy, I'm gluing down the giant dandelion on his hand and foot. I felt like that was the most natural position for him to be holding it. He is just so cute. There is something about that Dandy Day set that I love so much. I feel like the mice are just in the sweetest positions, and I love using that whenever I can. I'm adding in some more marshmallows and an extra tree branch that I had that I didn't really know where to put, but I thought it filled in the space at the top nicely. While I remembered, I stuck some double-sided tape on the back of this dimensional piece because I'm going to be adding even more dimension to it soon. Time to stick the rest of these pieces on. I made sure I didn't glue this little log down entirely so that I could slip another dandelion in behind it. I made sure I just covered the little mousie's tail behind it to show that it was in front. My little mouse with the dandelion is going to be standing up on the rock, blowing this towards the mousie holding the baby. I just love that little baby mouse so much. He looks so cute as he's reaching out for things. It's so sweet. At this point, I thought it would be a good idea to add double-sided tape to the entire card front, as this is going to be stuck down on a card base very soon, and I really didn't want to put that lower piece on without having done this first. And while I'm here, I'm going to quickly stick it to my card base. Just before I add my very final touches to this, I'm adhering the bottom two sections onto the bottom of my card. And I'm just loving how this scene is coming together. To finish it off, I'm sticking that cute little mouse on the lily pad down the bottom and putting the flower on its head. I thought this just looked really cute. What I love most about this card is that there are so many little characters all doing their own thing, having their own little adventures. I would love to know which mouse you would be in this scene. I've already told you I'm probably going to be the one with the marshmallows. But would you be the cheeky one with the flower on its head? Or would you be relaxing in the tent looking up at the sky? I just love how this card came together. And I hope you do too. Don't forget to check out Hobby Hoppers. Trish always keeps an amazing amount of the recent releases in stock. And you'll find that most of the sets that I used today are on the website. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.